Hi guys, so as always, welcome to my case study 4. And today I decided to do a homeschooling case study because I had a whole bunch of friends in high school who were homeschooled and they were either super awkward but super smart, or they were like exactly where I was in my academics, but I never saw them very often, except for in sports. So what I decided to do was whether homeschooling is a more effective method of teaching than public school systems. I was in a public school system for the longest time, practically my whole life, and I didn't really think of public school as a disadvantage. I never really wanted to be homeschooled because I knew my parents were working and all that. But I really would love to know what it's like to be homeschooled and whether there are benefits or downsides to being in a public school versus a homeschool. So the first thing I did was I did the benefits of homeschooling, and most people found that homeschooling benefits are people being able to teach within their own religious beliefs, their own traditional beliefs. Um, they are more, I don't want to say more, they're able to um, allow the children to take control of their own learning, which is very beneficial in that students that are more interested and have a choice in their learning will be more focused on their learning and the learning better. So that's a very big plus for homeschooling. Also, the parents being involved in their education was a big one. Though us teachers try to involve the parents as much as we can, they're not in the classroom all the time. They don't see what's going on. And so being able to have their parent in their education with them and going through it with them makes it a lot easier for the child as well as the parent. Also, vaccinations are not required. If it's homeschooling, it's up to the parent's discretion, obviously, because it's their own home. Um, and I'll go into that more with the benefits of public school systems, which is right here. So the public school systems, the benefits of this is the support of physical and learning disabilities, being able to provide resources for the student and the family, social interactions. Most social emotional learning goes on in the young ages, and if the student that is being homeschooled does not have a peer their same age or a peer in general inside the home, and they don't get that interaction, then their social emotional learning may be lacking, and they may have problems with social interactions, social norms, etc. Public schools add diversity, so students who are homeschooled may not see the diversity in people, such as colored people, people with disabilities, unless they read about them. But it's less likely to be done. So being able to have the diversity and inclusion within the public schools makes it easier for students to be kind to diversity, and be able to see diversity in a safe and public setting. Vaccinations are also a big one lately. Some schools are starting to require them now that parents are deciding not to vaccinate and these big diseases are going out. So a benefit of a public school could be vaccinations, in that there won't be as much sickness going around and major sickness going around the school. However, some parents choose not to vaccinate, and that is up to their discretion. Some of the downsides for our homeschooling, however, is some of the teachers, because they're parents, don't actually need to be certified or qualified to teach the student, which I was super surprised about, because when I'm going through this schooling and I'm taking 4 years of college to do this, but now it's saying I really don't have to if I want to homeschool people, that's a big flag for me. This is a lot of work that goes into it, and being able to figure out what's best for the child is really important. So that was a big downside for me when it came to homeschooling. Another one was teaching in accordance to the traditions. Yes, that this is a great benefit of homeschooling, but it could also be a downside in that some religions don't see the facts. So, for example, if a student believes in God, and that's perfectly fine, that's great, but their parent teaches them that God created everything and evolution was a myth. Well, yes, people do have those beliefs, but when it comes to schooling, we do want to make sure that the students are able to know about every different possibility. I'm not saying one is correct more than the other, but it's best practice to have students learn the information from all sides and be able to make their own judgment. Another one for homeschooling is it does not have a wide array of institutional experiences from primary and secondary school to draw from coping and the stresses of college environments. So this study that I looked at here was based off homeschooling students in their college environment, and they seem to have a lack of coping mechanisms with the stress and the environment of a public kind of school or a college type of school. And then also, trying to get into college, there's a lack of traditional high school transcripts and diplomas, which is really hard for them to get into college, and there's a whole bunch of steps to take involving a GED and whatever. Some of the public school downsides, there have been a lot of shootings lately. People are worried about safety and security within the schools, the negative influences, drug and alcohol, and whatever else. The large class sizes being possibly being looked over. Concerns of academic instruction. Some parents just don't agree with how the classroom is taught, and that just happens. And then vaccinations again. Some people don't vaccinate, some schools don't require it, so there is the chance of sickness and disease. So in conclusion, when I go back to the question itself, is homeschooling more beneficial in teaching than public schools? The conclusion I found was homeschool students traditionally achieve higher scores than public or private school counterparts. However, they lack in the social learning unless counteractions are taken by the parent or the teacher or the tutor to get the social interaction that they need. And then here are my references. So it was really intriguing, the whole study. I was pretty impressed that so much studies have gone into this, and I would love to know more later. Thanks.